Musician first. I wanted to work in an industry that involved audio. I got myself a job at a recording studio that mostly did voiceovers. I thought that they were going to be doing music. And so it was sort of like the Karate Kid version of working somewhere, right? Wax on, wax off. I cleaned the coffee table and made coffee, made copies of scripts, did all sorts of stuff like that, and took the garbage out. And after about a week or so of working there, I asked my boss, when do the bands start coming in to record? And she was like, well, we do a little bit of music, some jingles, but mostly it's voiceovers, radio and TV commercials. So I learned all about that business from behind the scenes, worked my way up from being the production assistant, casting director, ended up running the studio for 10 years. And in that process, also by running the casting sessions, I would have to fill in for people if they didn't show up to read with other people. And I slowly started to get picked by the clients. They would listen to the casting tape and say, we like that last guy, but he didn't say his name, because I would just be, filling in. And I realized that that was a way I could earn a living by also not being recognized because I was pursuing music. And I didn't want to be the guy on stage singing rock and roll love songs and you recognize me as the guy selling insurance, right? So it made perfect sense. So one of my clients at the studio said to me, hey, I'm working with a client that is doing anime dubbing, and they're looking for young voices. And at that time, I think I was 18 or 19 when I first started working there. And she said, it's dubbing, anime. And I remembered back in the day watching Battle of the Planets and things like that. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of fun. So I auditioned for a show called Slayers, where I played the main character, Gowry. I got cast as Gowry. And that production team had sort of maybe 10 guys and 10 girls that were doing all of the dubbing stuff in New York. So when Pokemon came along, I got the call to audition for that show because I was part of that clique of people. And I got no roles. I didn't get anything. They started recording Pokemon and they called me and said, hey, we don't like the guy that we cast as Brock. You're our second choice. So come on in. And I was like, yay, thank you. I was the only Brock you ever heard because the other one never made it to air. And then James was played by a friend of mine who played voiced in the first 5 or 6 episodes, and I was brought in to voice match for him. And then I finally took over the role for the rest of, the 8 years or 10 years, 8 seasons I was on there. So it was just by chance that I ended up playing 2 main characters on that show. But for every show that I ever auditioned for, everyone would always say, this is going to be a huge show, it's going to be the biggest thing ever. They said that about Pokemon, but obviously they were right. Brock is a great character, but I love comedic bad guys. And what's cool about Team Rocket is they get to dress up in other costumes as well. And we as the viewer know that it's still Team Rocket. And of course you're watching the show thinking, how come Ash can't tell that that's really Team Rocket? I loved playing a character that was then playing a character. And I also thought it didn't matter what was going on in the show. My job with Team Rocket was to make you laugh. So even if the director, and I directed a lot of the shows myself later on, but even if the director at the time said, okay, here's what this episode's about, I would say, look, for Team Rocket, just show me the script. I need to make it funny. That's my goal. I don't really care about the rest of the plot. So I loved the comedy. So if I had to choose, probably James was a little bit more fun. But Brock is funny too. When we started to see the toys, the cereal, all of the tie-ins at the fast food restaurants and all of that stuff, it started to really make sense that it was a big deal. What meant a lot to me was this was a show that if you were 6 years old or 60 years old, you knew what it was. You also got something from it. I'm not all about it has to be completely wholesome, but the message of the show was always something that was something to grow, to learn, to grow on. Friendship, being good, and even the villains learn about friendship and right from wrong without being preachy. And I thought there was something really wholesome about the show and also entertaining. So it was nice to be part of something that was pop culture and this big machine of, wow, it's making all this money and that's great. But there was quality to that. And that meant a lot to me. I love the fact that at these conventions, people come up to me with their kids and they're in their 30s or 40s and they grew up watching the show and they're fans and they're now introducing the show to their kids because they can. Because it's the kind of show that it's timeless. Those stories are timeless, those characters are timeless. And I'm just a part of that. So it's definitely very humbling to be part of something that's so well known and also to me has quality. So I got to direct a very, very funny show. I won't say it was the greatest video game tie-in show because the video game was very boring to me, but the show was hilarious. I got to direct a show called Viva Pinata, okay? And that was a show where we did it prelay, meaning that we recorded the voices first and then assembled it for the animators to draw. Unlike a lot of the shows that I'm known for, like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, where we're matching lip flap to existing animation. So this gave my actors freedom to read it the way they wanted to, and me as a director to have them read it the way that we wanted to. I also took that dialogue and built the conversations. My actors never recorded in the booth at the same time. I would work with them one at a time and then create the conversation, which was a lot of fun to do. But some of the performances are done by a lot of the actors from anime. And here I gave them the freedom to really show off their talents. From the different characters they played, the accents, the timing of their jokes, it was much more of a free-form kind of experience, and one of the funniest shows I've ever worked on. I know a lot of fans are like, oh yeah, I remember that, but go back and watch some Viva Pinata stuff, and each episode stands alone. You don't have to watch them in any order. It was like Seinfeld of cartoons. It was just it was a show about nothing, but very funny stuff. As a musician, I feel like I have a little bit of a leg up in that. I could listen to a song for the first time, and if the lyrics are the same in the first chorus as they are in the second chorus, after hearing the first chorus, I could sing along to the timing of the second chorus. A lot of people can do that. So when I look at lip flap the first time, I have memorized the cadence and the pattern and where the breaks are. I recognize that. And I can also, with all the years I've been doing this, look at the script and say, this won't fit, this is 5 syllables, there's only 4 there, there's a break here, that's an odd place to put that break. I see that very quickly. So it is helpful being a singer, being a musician, having rhythm to do that, because lip flap acting is 50% technical and 50% acting. You might have a great way you want to deliver that line, but that's not the way the mouth is moving, or even the expression on the face. Sometimes the adaptation is an angry line to a smiling face, or vice versa. You're like, he's yelling, and you want me to whisper. How do you even do that? So it's not as fun sometimes because you are stuck with what the animation is. But I've been doing it long enough and recognizing those patterns and that cadence long enough that it's not a drag anymore. In the beginning, it was tough. Well, it depends on the dynamic you have with that production team, with that director if you're not directing yourself, and also the character, the length you've been playing that character. When I'm brought back to do anything that's Kaiba related, if a new writer has written the stuff for me, I am definitely bold enough to say, that's not the way Kaiba would say that. Here's a suggestion that might be a better way to say that quip, that little dig, right? More Kaiba-esque. But it's not really my job as the actor to tell the writer and the director how to do that. So I warn future actors, up-and-coming actors, be careful about that. But with Brock and James. Like with James, I would always say to the new writer or the new director, I don't want to use contractions. I want to use cannot instead of can't, because James is way too upscale to speak that way. It's a subtle thing, but I need that other syllable, right? So find a way to shave some words so I can say it that way. Those are suggestions I might give. So if you're not related to me, meaning that you haven't read my entire bio, so I was a singer-songwriter long before I was a voice actor, and I've been a voice actor for a very long time. So I toured with Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band, Peter Frampton. Peter produced my album, a lot of classic rock guys, but I play my own stuff with my own band, the Eric Stewart Band. And during lockdown, I decided a way to keep sane was to work on one song at a time, start to finish, write, record, mix, master, and release in the styles of the bands and artists that had inspired me. So if it was the Beatles, something that was like a Beatle-esque type song. If it was, I'm a big fan of like Celtic rock bands like U2 and The Alarm and Big Country and things like that, something in that style. But each song was still an original song for me, but in the style of these bands. And I joked around as I was releasing them during COVID that it was just a bunch of singles, not a new album. I think that was actually the hashtag. Well, I was lying. It's a brand new album. And I finally finished the last couple of songs this month. Now I'm just putting the sequence together and figuring out the best way for me to put it out as either, yes, I still do CDs because at conventions, fans still want something tangible where I can sign, but I might do a limited edition LP release as well, which might have some fun art on it as well. So that's what I'm doing.